Hey guys, what's going on? It's Blayde again from Car Audio Security. Now, if you're looking for a good quality aftermarket doubled in stereo and you're not sure what to go for, you're in the right place. So in front of me, we have a range of different brand doubled in stereos. Now we're going to go through all of these individually to show you the different specs and obviously the benefits and drawbacks of each one. Now this is going to be helpful for anyone that has, let's say, already got an aftermarket stereo but you're looking to upgrade to something a bit better, or if you're going from a factory stereo to an aftermarket upgrade. Now before we get into it, if you've come this far, make sure you subscribe to the channel. You've done it? Yeah? Okay, let's get into it. In no particular order, we're going to start off with the KENWOOD DMX 5020 DABs. Now, by far, this is our best-selling doubled-in stereo for the last 2 or 3 years. This is a bit of a powerhouse, and you get a lot for your money. Now, to reel off the specs very quickly, this has Apple Carplay and Android Auto via USB connection. This has a 6.8-inch capacitive touchscreen. This is a completely buttonless system, so it's a completely flush screen. This also gives you the ability to add a reversing camera. It has 3 pre-outs. It has a pair of fronts, a pair of rears, and a singular sub pre-out. So bear in mind you may need a Y lead for that. As well as that, this has normal FM, AM, and also digital DAB radio. And lastly, this is a shallow chassis unit. This is a fantastic budget-friendly option. This gives you all the features that you need to get you started. As I said, this is Apple CarPlay and Android Auto compatible, but this is via USB connection. So if you're not too worried about having the wireless CarPlay side of things, this is absolutely perfect. This will fit into pretty much any vehicle that you have a compatible fitting kit for. And like I said, it's completely flush. So when it is fitted into a vehicle, you can't even really tell it's there when it's off because it's just a black flush screen. So it does fit really, really nicely. The retail price of this unit is £440, but we do quite often have sales on this particular head unit. It's usually in the region of £380, £350-ish. So make sure you check the website for the latest price. Now, let's get on to the next one. So next on our list is this JVC KW M875 DBW. Now this is a relatively new product from JVC, but this is their top spec current model. This is a very good option for someone that's looking for a higher spec unit, but with limited buttons, so it's almost a fully flush screen. This only has 3 buttons on the face of it. And let's quickly go through the specs. So this has wireless CarPlay and wireless Android Auto, HDMI input, digital radio, FM, AM, and Bluetooth, as well as 4 parking camera inputs. So this has a USB-C charging cable rather than a standard USB-A, which gives you the ability to do fast charging. So it's a 5 volt and 3 amp charging capability. And the last few things to mention, this has wireless Android mirroring, and this also has a short chassis design. So installing this is going to be nice and easy. So as I've said, this unit is going to be aimed at someone that's looking for a unit that's higher spec, but has limited buttons on the face of it. So as I said, it's only 3 buttons on the face of the unit. The rest of it is completely flush. And obviously this has the ability to do wireless CarPlay and Android Auto versus the KENWOOD only having wired. So this is a very, very good spec unit. We do actually have this fitted in our shop project EP3. So if you're interested in a kind of more in-depth video, that is in that video there. So we'll put the link in the description. Now, another benefit of this head unit having HDMI is you have the ability to have an external video source, well, video and audio source coming into it. But it also has the ability to screen mirror for an iPhone, or you could put a Amazon Fire Stick in there to watch movies. You can do really anything on there, but obviously you can't do that whilst you're driving. Now, current price point, retail price on this head unit is £600. Again, this unit can be on and off offer, so just check the current pricing in the link in the description. Now, on to the next one. Okay, so the next on our list is the SONY XAV AX6050. Now, this head unit is aimed at someone that's looking for a very, very simple and easy to use unit that has all the features and specs that the others have as well. So this unit has wireless Apple CarPlay, wireless Android Auto, HDMI input, a quick wake up feature. It has an anti-glare capacitive touchscreen, a single chassis design, and it also has a rear view camera input. This unit is also able to stream LDAC files, so if you have any high-res audio files from your phone, you can Bluetooth stream them directly to this and you won't lose any quality. Another great thing about this head unit is this is completely bezel-less design, so it's an edge-to-edge glass screen with a very small button panel in the center of the screen. So personally, I think this is the best looking head unit. And like I said, it's a very, very simplistic user interface and very easy to get around. It doesn't take anything away from the features. Like I said, it's got everything else that all the other guys have. It's got all the good audio specs and everything like that, but it's nice and easy to use. So in conclusion, the Sony head unit is a fantastic unit for someone that's looking for an easy to use but higher spec unit. Something that has a physical button panel but is very kind of stylish looking, and something that is also good audio spec as well. So retail price on this unit is at £550, but like the others, as I've said, these can be on and off offer. So please check the link in the description for the latest price. Now, on to the next one. Okay, so next we have the biggest box of them all, the ALPINE ILX 705D. Now this head unit is aimed at the person that wants the most techie experience possible, loads of menus and loads of audio spec to go through. This is definitely for you. So let's go through the specs quickly. This has wireless Apple CarPlay, wireless Android Auto, Bluetooth streaming, hands-free calls and DAB radio. This has HDMI input and output. It has high-res audio streaming capability, so you can play FLAC and LDAC files directly from your phone. And this also has a single chassis design. So all of these units are nice and easy to fit. You don't have the big bulky chassis like you used to and trying to stuff all the wires behind, so it's nice and easy. Now the user interface on this, like I said, is quite complicated for someone that's not used it before. So if you're looking for a very simple unit, like I said, the Sony may be a better option. But if you're looking for something that's quite techy, you can go into loads of options. You've got loads of audio settings you can go through, EQs, crossovers, all sorts of stuff like that. This is definitely the unit for you. Now, again, this is a kind of edge-to-edge design. It does have a small bezel that sits around the edge, and then quite a large button panel that sits along the bottom. Now, a few of the standout specs on this head unit, which I do like, is the HDMI input and output. This gives you the ability to have obviously a audio and visual source coming in, but also then an audio visual source coming out. So if you do have this in, let's say, I don't know, a Volkswagen Transporter, for instance, which is a very popular car for these, you can have a PlayStation playing into this screen, and then you can have it coming out to a roof-mounted screen in the rear, for instance, all through HDMI, so you have the highest quality. Another good feature with this is the buttons along the front are very specific in terms of you have a specific navigation button. So if you are in CarPlay, you can just click that. Let's say you're in music streaming, for instance, Bluetooth streaming, but you want to get back to your CarPlay very quickly. You don't have to tap and go through it all. You just tap that one button and you're back into your navigation. You also have a audio button in terms of a music source button. So the little icon on the front, which it looks like a music note, and you tap that and that goes through all of your audio sources. So it's another quick way of getting around in the unit. Now retail price on this unit is at £630, so it's quite up there in terms of price. But like I said, you get a lot of spec for your money with this head unit, and you also have that Alpine name that everyone knows and loves. Now, on to the next one. Now, last but certainly not least, we have the KENWOOD DMX 8021 DABs. Now, this is probably our best selling wireless CarPlay head unit at the moment and has a number of spec built in, and it's very, very simple and easy to use as well. Now, reeling off the specs, you've got wireless Apple CarPlay, wireless Android Auto, Bluetooth streaming, hands-free calls and DAB radio. You have HDMI input, which is a micro HDMI. You have a USB-C output for fast charging. You have 4 parking camera inputs. You have 3 5-volt pre-outs on the back for your amplifiers. And you also have a short chassis design and a capacitive touchscreen. Now, this particular head unit I think would be aimed at someone that wants a high spec unit with very good audio capabilities, very similar to the Alpine, but with a bit more of a simplistic design. So it's a good mix between the Alpine and the Sony. So the user interface on this is very iPhone type, if you know what I mean. It comes with kind of apps more than sources. So you can go through each individual source and it looks like an app icon. So it's very familiar if you have an iPhone or even an Android. The button panel along the front is nice and thin. It's not too bulky. It does stick out quite a bit more than most of the others, but because it's thin, you don't really notice it too much. And just the settings internally in the head unit, you can do pretty much anything with this. And having that capacitive 7-inch screen is very, very nice as well. Just quickly to mention as well, the same as the Alpine and the Sony, this has the ability to play high-res audio files wirelessly. So you can stream LDAC and FLAC files directly from your mobile device into the unit. Now this is a really good seller for a head unit, probably because it gives you all the specs that the other brands give you, but without any real drawbacks, to be honest. It's very easy to get used to the user interface on this head unit, very easy to navigate wherever you need to go. So yeah, it's just a very, very good all-round head unit. Now there was a predecessor to this. There's been quite a few predecessors, but the last model to this was the DMX 8020, which was again a really, really popular head unit back in its time. This is the updated version, which basically gave you a shorter chassis to make installation a lot easier. And rather than two USB-A connections, it's a single USB-C. Now you do drop a connection, but you have the fast charging with the USB-C connection. So it's kind of going into the future where everyone's using USB-C. So you're future-proofing yourself for any further phones you use, but it does also come with a USB-C to USB-A adapter for the time being. Now retail price on this unit, this is the most expensive one on our list for retail price. It's £650. So it is up there, but I definitely think it's worth the price for the spec that you're getting. It's a fantastic head unit. This will be a very good head unit for years to come, I think. Okay, so we've gone through the individual head units one by one to show you the main features, the main benefits, and who we would aim them at. Now this is an overview of our main best-selling head units we would recommend for 2023 and going into 2024. We recommend these head units to most people, but obviously it's very dependent on each individual person's preference, what you would prefer. Now usually when a customer comes into the store, I will ask them certain questions to determine what they want out of their stereo. So stuff like, obviously, what's their budget? What's the main features they're going to use? Do they want something with buttons or no buttons? Do they want something with wireless CarPlay or wired? So there's a lot of questions you kind of need to ask yourself to work out what head unit works best for you. Don't just go for what I recommend to you because it may not work. But personally, my personal favorite out of all these head units is the DMX 8021. I think it's just the best bang for your buck, kind of overall better head unit than most. Personally, my personal preference, don't attack me the rest of the brands, but this just gives you all of the features that everyone else gives you pretty much, but without any of the small drawbacks that the other brands give you. Now, a lot of people don't like the button panel on the 8021. Personally, I don't mind it, but if you prefer a more flush screen, the JVC is almost exactly the same in terms of features. So this has a very limited button style. We actually have this fitted in the EP3, which I mentioned earlier. So that's why we went for that. It's just more flush. As I said, the Alpine is the most techy spec-wise in terms of the audio spec. You have the LDAC files. You can play around with the parametric EQ and the crossovers and all that kind of stuff. So if you're into your audio or you're doing a big audio build in your vehicle, the Alpine is a good shout. But again, the KENWOOD covers you there as well. Now with the Sony is a fantastic head unit, nothing wrong with that head unit at all. It's a very, very simplistic design. It's very easy to navigate. Minimalistic, I would say, is the best word to put it. It doesn't necessarily have the audio spec that the others may have in terms of the audio settings you can go into. But if there's someone looking for something simple and easy to use, Sony's definitely a good shout. And then obviously budget option, best bang for buck for budget, definitely the 5020 DABs. As I said, this unit's been around for a couple of years now, still a bit of a powerhouse for the money you're spending. So that's definitely a good shout. Now, links for the full in-depth videos of the head units we have on the table here will be in the description, along with links to the website so you can check pricing and availability. So make sure you obviously go through the description and search for whichever head unit you prefer out of these. Now, I hope you've enjoyed this video, a bit something different rather than just a unboxing and a review. These are, like we said, our top picks for 2023 going into 24. It is now 2024, so happy new year to everyone. We'll probably do another one of these halfway through 24 if we have some new products that are coming out. If not, it'll be the end of 2024. So make sure you look out for that video. That's it from me. Make sure you like, share and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.